Hello and welcome back to Female Revolution. I'm Sue, and this is my beautiful, lovely friend,
Jen.
two one-syllable names. It's just
Yep.
we'll figure it out someday. So today we are actually going to talk about self-love. And as Jen and I were talking about this, I actually made the mention, and she told me to roll with it because she's the
Mhm.
expert. And she just said, go with it. So my thought when it comes to self-love is because this is kind of what I'm working on my own personal self right now,
Mm.
is it equates to inner child. And I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit just because that's where it should start is your childhood, but sometimes it doesn't. And so sometimes like you have to go back a little bit in time to extract that kid that you once were, bring her back, and then start working on things as an adult.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And what sparked this dialogue was actually starting to work out again for me. So this is like a pretty profound leap I find myself making finally after young 50-year-old over here figure my stuff out. But it's really been a fun eye-opening journey, and I thought that might be cool to dialogue about as well. So we're going to wrap up this concept of self-love, and you guys know that we want to bring some action items. So as we process today, I'll try throwing out there some things for you to actually be doing. So this is, again, right, our podcast is really intentional, just bringing tons of passion and fire and all things female revolution. Also, we want you to have an experience. We want you to actively be doing some things, because I think, well, I'm going to veer off in a section for a moment, and I swear we won't stay here. In our country right now, in our culture, there's a lot of stuff going on. We're going to be talking about that in a minute as well, but just wait for that podcast. There's kind of a lot going on, and I do think that it's extra important to actually dial it in and understand, because self-love is such a kitschy thing, right? It's so
Mm-hmm.
like out there everywhere, and this is when we're recording, we batch record, but when we're recording, it's February. So we're heading into the, season of Valentine's Day and all those things. And so I really do like to approach talking about self-love as much as we do, because I think it is a deep conversation. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's like a two-layered cake. It's like a 20-layered cake. And I think the journey to get there is so layered as well, if that makes sense. And so
Mm-hmm.
we are going to kind of come at it from that perspective. And what I want to start with today, because we love bringing books and novel ideas and things like that to you guys, music, etc. So resources are really fun, because I just think it's nice. Like, what is everybody else reading? Where have you been? What do you like? What psychs you up? What gets you going? What gets your blood moving? Right? Whatever. So I absolutely adore, if you're just listening to the podcast, that's great. On YouTube, I always share the actual video of our process, which Sue just loves. Don't let her convince you otherwise. So I love she's full of shit. Okay, so I love Cleo Wade. She is an absolutely incredible author. Her first book, which I'm sure I will circle back to, is Heart Talk. That's her first book, that's where I met her, that book, and fell in love with her. This one's called Remember Love, Words for Tender Times. And I just literally this morning, getting ready to come and do the podcast with Sue, picked this book up. Just and on one pink sticky in the front. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go check out what that said. It was perfect. It's called Homecoming. And it says, I said, she'll be fine. Too many times, so she left me. And when she came back, she was worn and tired and looking for warm arms to wrap around her. And even though I didn't recognize her at first, I held her. And we became reacquainted. I apologized and I promised to look after her and take care of her. I promised her we'd always find each other. And I let her know that she may get lost, but she won't stay lost. The love within you will always welcome you home. And this to me, first of all, her books are beautiful because some of it's printed and some of it's almost handwritten. So it's
Oh,
just this
wow.
really eloquent, beautiful experience of a book. It's not like a very traditional, just blank page kind of, oh, it's so gorgeous. But what I love about what she's saying is, and I think this has been my experience, is sometimes feeling like I get lost to myself. so busy taking care of things, having a vision, supporting people, doing the things that we can kind of lose sight of the fact that we actually have a relationship with ourselves. I know that sounds really goofy. So I said this to a coaching client the other day, just in terms of we have a relationship with everything around us. So what it does is it kind of allows us a different way to be objective about it. If I say, oh, I have a relationship with this, right? You actually have a relationship with you. Well, I hope you do. How's this? If you don't
Yeah.
have one, I hope you design a relationship with yourself. There's act one, okay? Design your relationship with yourself. Now, I am not just talking noticing your thoughts. I'm not just talking noticing your emotions. I'm not talking those things. I'm talking a deeper bandwidth of love and tenderness that you carry for you. And the reason I think that you said, let's start with like inner child, because so many of us, we start to lose this capacity in childhood. As we come out of childhood, right? This is where we start hearing people's opinions. And if I look different than someone, or I don't get invited to a birthday party, or gosh, it seems like my teacher likes so and so, but they don't seem to like me very well. Gosh, my parents seem stressed. I don't know what that's about. We start all of a sudden engaging with the world, and things start to come in, and we're now digesting what that means for us. So we have this sort of period of time where if all things are equal and lovely, and I hope that they are for all of our listeners, but I know that the truth is that some of us have had some very bumpy childhoods. So it's okay. But my hope is that it was lovely. And my hope is that you did have this sense of kind of being capable of anything to start. You know what I'm saying? Like when we're kids,
Yes.
we don't think. I remember riding around in my dad's big ass boat of a car in California. This was Escondido, California, where I was born and grew up. Very, very short kind of stint in the front of my life. And the song Music Box Dancer came on. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it. If you've never heard of it, just do yourself a solid, look it up sometime and listen. It is literally, I just envisioned myself in ballet slippers, toe shoes, whipping around in these beautiful circles, right? And doing this incredible dancing. And I had a little jewelry box that had the music box.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
With
right?
the ballerina.
So
yeah.
The ballerina, and she's doing all these circles and she's beautiful. And so I think I remember a time in my childhood where I can't do that. That won't work. That wouldn't make you money, Jen. But what about all the competition? And where would you go to school? Are you going to wing it? Are you going to try to find your way in LA? Like, I'm just, okay, right. You don't think those things as a child. You just think, I could do that. I could be friends with that person. I can climb that big ass hill. I can do the monkey bars. I can do a flip upside down off the bars. We don't have the same encumbered concept of ourselves that we do as we age.
Yeah.
And so no wonder we would hearken back to that space, right? And so I will say for those of you beginning this journey, and no joke when I say this lovingly, Sue did a novel and just picked up intuitively exactly, start with your inner child. Now you might be like, okay, what does that mean, Jen? Well, what that means is start developing.
Is that woo? Is that woo?
Is it woo? Is it weird shit? Are we talking science? Are we talking all the other weird shit? Okay, I don't know, but let's just see where it takes us. So when we want to start with the inner child, what I think it is if we can just imagine yourself as a small kid, what were you like? What was your energy? Where did you want to go, right? There is this enthusiasm. What did you enjoy? So listen, did you enjoy making mud pies? Did you enjoy, I was a fort builder. My besties and I, we were fort builders in the woods, right? So what did you love to do? I was creative. I loved art. I loved coloring. I loved singing. I just had so many things I enjoyed. And one of the things we do as we age is we'll lose a connection with those parts of ourselves. Last year, I bought myself and Sue a strawberry shortcake doll.
Yeah, you did.
At Walmart. And I'm just going to tell you, if they had a whole set, I would have bought the whole day. I would have been broke. I would have left Walmart with 14 sets of strawberry shortcake. And I don't
care. She proudly adorns my desk at work,
like,
too.
I would have walked up with a whole, like, I'm not kidding. Okay. And and it's taken, and I found the meditation Barbie. She's the cutest. You push a button and she talks about like your breath and like, oh my God, it's the cutest.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's so cute. And so I will buy myself toys from time to time. If my
Yeah.
inner child lights up enough, if I'm walking down an aisle and I go, what is that? It's coming home.
Yeah.
And
We
I'm not
have
lying.
It's so funny too, because it's funny you say that, because I am trying to reconnect with my inner child. And what's nice is that it's been over a year now, but I am still new at a job. I'm on a college campus, a tech college. And
Mm-hmm.
so my coworkers, I am old enough to be their mom, which is so great. Like, part of you is just like, oh my God, what do you have in common with them? But part of me adores it,
Mm-hmm.
because it
Mm-hmm.
also grants me the grace and allowance to not regress, I guess, but to bring out that inner child in myself,
Yeah.
because they're fun and silly. And obviously, we get
Yes.
our work done, we're professional,
Yes.
we do the things, but we have downtime as a group. And so it's just kind of fun to be involved in that conversation. And
Yes.
they kind of look at me like a mom, but they don't treat me like a mom. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
Like, it's
totally do.
really fun. And then we have a new, as of fall, I believe last year, we have a mascot now, and
Okay.
he's an otter. He's
Oh, that's cute.
Ollie the river otter. And so we have an actual mascot like costume. And on the first day of class, just this last week, every time Ollie comes in, this is what I do. Hi, Ollie, like a kid. And some of my coworkers were like, that thing freaks me out. And I'm like, I go back to my childhood when I would
I think
like
that's
Disney
cute.
characters, and like
Yes.
I knew who the person was that was inside the suit, but he was standing there and he was an otter and he was waving, and they don't say
Yes.
anything, of course. And so I
Yeah.
am able to suspend reality and tap into
Yes.
my imagination, and like, it gives me
Exactly.
joy. Like, it just gives me
Exactly.
joy. So
Exactly.
little things like that. I mean, I was in the middle of helping a student, when that happened. And so, of course, I had to maintain some professionalism, but at the same time, it made the students smile too. So
I'm sure it did.
it having that childlike imagination sometimes as an
Agreed.
adult
Agreed.
is so healthy,
Agreed. It just harkens back to a time you didn't overthink everything in your world.
right?
It honestly does. It's
Yeah,
like the
and
one
self-criticize.
exactly. And you're not like mean to yourself and you're not, right? So
Yep.
I really want us to think about starting with the inner child, which I love, and then designing a relationship with yourself, which is that's a pretty, I'm going to say that's not a small action. So, but I'm putting it on the list because what I really want you to do is start to understand that you do have a relationship with yourself. And I'm going to get to that in a minute with my workout regimen and I swear to God, that's where we're coming from. We're going to lean into that as well. And I do want you to lean into this conceptually in this way. So, and there's other steps we're going to get there, but we'll get there with time. So, where I came from, outside of just child stuff, which I've definitely been like, okay, I got Legos just probably not even 3 months ago. I had a burnt my
Nice.
ass. I just got some cute camping Legos. It's a little Jeep, and we have all Jeeps in our
Oh,
family.
your
It's the
Jeep
cutest shit
fam,
ever.
yeah.
Total Jeep family. And sat and built Legos, 2 sets, and just it was literally for me to get myself out of my head and find
Mm-hmm.
joy again. So these are things we do that we just reconnect with a time and experience. And honestly, hopefully, it helps us be present. Children are present for the most part. They're not so up in their heads as adults are. So they're so fully living in their experience. They have such full range of emotions and presence. And so that's something we can really tap into, right? So it was a little bit ago, and I have been going, I'm already through menopause, and I'm just going to talk. I always like to be really frank about this for people that are listening if they're still going through the process. And I just know my hormones have been weird. My hormones were weird from the moment I had a baby. They never went back to fully normal. And I had my daughter when I was 30. They
Mm-hmm.
never returned to fully normal. That's fine. I knew some things had changed, but I'm like, it is what it is. So at 40, I was probably in the best shape of my life. I was doing Beachbody and I was like just kicking ass and I was working out every day, eating super clean, felt great, cool. And then my mom was terminally ill and like just life. And I got busy. I stopped taking care of myself. Everyone has had this story. If you've not had this story, I'm amazed and please tell me because whatever your secret is, I want to know. I know I totally fell off the wagon. I was just like, I don't have time for this. It wasn't the focal point anymore. And that's fine. Listen, I am not saying this to all of you who are listening as an insult to myself. I'm telling you because I actually have compassion for the woman whose mom was dying and for her grief. And that was what I could do at that time. Do I wish I hadn't run out of steam to do? Yes, because it is so much harder coming back.
Yeah.
But that's where I was. And so to me, it was like, okay, and trust me, did I beat myself up? Oh, bitches, you have no idea the kind of dialogue and how I can treat myself. You have no idea. So I'm sure throughout the years, I was super like, why this, you're so dumb. Why did you let yourself go? Like you worked so hard to get there. Literally, like just recrimination, right? So what I think I've had a hard time wanting to lean back in. Also, you should know I have a slight OCD to me. Okay, that's a vast understatement. But also, I go big. Like if I go in, like I dig in, okay? And so I also have to kind of monitor myself a little bit because when I was young, when I got really into working out when I was probably in my 20s, I think I actually had like borderline anorexia.
Oh,
Like
wow.
didn't want to eat a lot of food, like very
Yeah.
conscientious, lost weight. And of course, then what people do is, oh my God, you look amazing. So you're like, sweet, I should just be skinnier then. So anyway, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, and I'm not making light of being disorders in any way, shape, or form. I think I was probably on a cusp of having one. I don't think it would have been diagnosable, but I definitely had symptoms where I was not eating what I probably should have been eating and
Well, and that's just it. It
day.
depends on how you want to look at an eating disorder. I don't know what the clinical description is,
Yeah.
but if it's anything like alcoholism, where if that is what you're relying on, like a dopamine chase,
Mhm.
there is something to be said about that
Well, it was
too.
everything that was between my ears. If
Yeah.
I was anxious and guilty about eating, that's a problem.
Right.
Okay, right?
Right.
So anyone,
Right.
right? Okay. The reason I'm sharing that story is to say I have a love-hate relationship with, I have had with my body, with nutrition, with working out. And it feels feast or famine. I'm like all in, or I'm like not doing it at all. I don't get it. So anyway, so I have this, and if you relate, let us know if you relate to this. But finally, I started really, okay, I got to get going. And I have high cholesterol. That's fun. And so I was like, last year I found this out and I totally lost my gourd because I was like, oh my God, you would have thought I literally found out I was like dying from something. And because I've been very healthy in my life, been really blessed overall for my health. So I started really thinking about what do I want to do to take care of myself again. It's time to get back on the wagon. You can't do this game anymore. That's not going to work, right?
Right.
It's not going to work. And you
Right.
don't feel good. You feel run down, you feel tired, fatigue, it's hard to do some things. Da 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 da. That ain't how I'm rolling, right? So I should do something. So I find this program, and listen, this is not about the program. I'm going to talk briefly, but only because just then you understand what the hell I'm talking about, not because y'all got to go do the program. So I found this program by it's on Beachbody and it's by Autumn Calabrese and it's called Belvital, and it's all about women's hormones. It's literally all about women and their hormones and resetting your body. And so I get them. I was like, I don't know, what do I want to do? What do I? It's like, do I just do some regular workouts? I hired a trainer. I was doing some part time like fitness training and weightlifting, which I love. I love that kind of stuff. But it wasn't enough. I was like, I need a program. I needed some consistency. This program, in the most beautiful way, has literally opened me like wide open. And I know it was just that I was in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
That the workouts are like an hour long. I didn't even know, thank God. Had I looked, you guys, I would have been like, oh shit, no, and I'm not kidding. If I had paid attention, which I didn't, I was just like, there's supplements for your hormones. It's helping with adrenal fatigue. It's helping with all these. And I'm like, that is so amazing. And I know I could use it, right? I fucking love it. And when
That's
I
so
tell you,
great.
oh my God, when I tell you the supplements are amazing, there's a little bit of intermittent fasting in it, and I was already sort of observing that, to be honest, without trying, and so it was
Mm-hmm.
super easy for me, taking a little more mindful effort, if you will, but not like crazy, and never like, oh my God, I'm gonna die before I eat. So it's so been so flawless. But really, what it is, and this is the big takeaway for me. This is my aha. I think it is the first time, actually, in my entire life, maybe I did something because I was loving myself.
Mm.
I came at it from a completely different mind space and heart space. In the past, I think it was, I want to stay up with my kid, totally, which is true. I want to be fit. I want to like, right. But it was about how I looked. It was about, I mean,
Yep.
I can list for you the vain things and
Yep.
like where it stemmed from. Oh my God, anxiety. What if I look disgusting? What if I'm not like, blah. Oh my God. I look back at it now, I'm like, oh, it's so cringy. And I
Yeah,
think
but that's what we all do. We all do that though.
I know that's what's so, the reason we're talking about it was such a monumental shift for me to get ready and lay my things out every night and then get up in the morning and I am taking collagen. I just built in these beautiful resources and now
Right.
I don't have to do it. I'm not laying on the floor like, oh my, lifting my, oh my God, I hate, okay, there's one workout I absolutely hated because it was literally 4 moves for 45 minutes, which is very effing boring, but that was the only one. But other than that, mostly I'm laying there and it's like a lot of it's Pilates style and it's slow, it's controlled and it's actually really low impact, but I just am loving it. And I'm there and I'm like, this is me loving myself in actionable form. It isn't because I have to be skinny. I have to look a certain way.
Right.
I have to be a certain weight. There's none of that. It's the first time I have shown up to fitness. And this is so sad to admit out loud, where it wasn't because I was scared or I hated myself in some way. It actually is the first
That
time.
is so
Okay,
huge.
thank you. And I'm like, because I know it does not, it might not sound monumental if you're listening to this, but when I tell you, it is. And so thank you for honoring it and saying that because for me to just be there and loving myself and like it comes with like a 3-month breathwork free practice that you can do right after. It's so comprehensive as a program and it's so about women's health for women's bodies. Like it's just the coolest experience. And so I am like literally loving it. I am loving having my smoothies and eating healthier. And I cannot tell you guys if it's the supplements, is it the collagen, is it the working, is it everything? I don't
No,
know.
I don't think it's any. I think that is honestly, I think that is a symptom of a bigger discovery, though, because you're doing it because you know it's for the betterment of your health.
Yes.
You didn't come at this time, at least in speaking for myself, I
Yes.
guess.
Yeah.
You didn't come at it wanting to change how others see you.
Exactly.
You came at it wanting to feel better. It was all about you. It wasn't about impersonation or about the impression that that you're making on other people. It's not about your appearance. And then that falls away because now you're not concerned with how other people are seeing you because now you've scraped the surface of that self-love.
Yes.
And so therefore taking supplements makes sense. I have to do it every day. That's what I'm going to do. Exactly. You have to keep your joints moving and you have to keep everything moving so that you don't get stiff going into older years because parts wear out. It's what happens. Exactly. And so you're doing it as a means of taking care of yourself. And then eventually you're going to look different. You're going to feel different, all of the things, but you're not doing it because you looked at a magazine and thought, oh, she has an amazing body. I'm going to work at getting that body. You're not trying to impersonate anybody. You are trying to create a better you.
Precisely. And that's, so when we were talking about good songs for self-love, and there's so many, right? I mean, there's so many that are great, but I love the song by Demi Lovato, I Love Me. And one of the things she says right out the gate, so we're going to go there just for a moment because it's so good. And she says, flipping through all these magazines, telling me who I'm supposed to be. Way too good at camouflage. Can't see what I am. I just see what I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly what I fucking did until this workout. And this is the most, and that is why I thank you for picking it up the way that you did. So beautiful. Like, and she says, so I'm guilty about everything that I eat. Feeling myself is a felony. Jedi level sabotage, voices in my head make it my entourage. And then she says, like, by the time, right, why do I compare myself to everyone? Mm-hmm. I wonder when I love me is enough. I wonder when I love me is enough. And so first of all, this is it's in our Spotify playlist. So if you haven't gone and checked out the Female Revolutionary, we have a nice little Spotify playlist. But I love this song, and it's so because it's the epitome of the struggle women experience. And to be able to look at this journey for myself and say, this is the first time I'm not looking through magazines. I am coming from a place of doing this, and I love myself already in this body where she is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not loving the sense that I'll love her when she gets there.
Right.
I'm loving her already here.
Now. Yep.
That's totally different than how I used to do these things.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping any of you can kind of relate to this. I don't know if this lands for you, but I do think this is like a gigantic takeaway for me. This was a big, and it was why I wanted to bring it, because it sounds kind of goofy. It's like, okay, cool. What do we do to get there? So I do think this is a piece that someone's going to want to and listen, I don't know that I have all the answers, because I have done an insurmountable amount of personal work. Like when I do a lot of personal development and personal work myself. And so I don't know how to explain to quantify it, right? But I do think that starting with loving yourself in that inner child space is a brilliant place to begin. If you're starting this journey, you're like, I don't know what to do. Right? I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to make this happen. It sounds like it's easy, but it's way harder than we make it sound. I know that for sure. I do invite you to maybe start with that inner child and just love yourself enough to harken back to when you weren't encumbered, when you weren't so conditioned, when the world hadn't told you everything about who you were supposed to be. That lean into doing childlike things. I know this is oh my God, that's childish. No, it's not. No, it's not. And that took me a very long time to harness as well. I don't care. If somebody was like, who's this strawberry shortcake? I'm like, for me, yo.
Yeah, it's mine.
And then I'd still smell her because yeah, hell yeah, fuck yeah. Right. So whatever that looks like for you, if it looks like getting some Play-Doh, if it's Legos, if it's coloring, to me, we want to pull forward any of those things that helped us be present and find joy. Because it was really innocent. It wasn't based on anybody else. We weren't connected to the other at that point yet in the same way. Does that make sense?
Oh,
and then you start to hit those that 10, 11, 12, and now my body's changing and I'm starting to look around the world and I'm like, oh shit.
And you're exposed to so many other people who are in different places, different backgrounds, different thought processes in their home.
School is a huge deal because now I'm starting to oh, but my friend doesn't bring that kind of lunch. Oh, and my friend doesn't say her family does this. Very, very interesting. Right now we start to kind of crack open. And now I'm really interested in connection. But what I'm also doing is looking at other a lot. Now I'm scanning to see what everyone's doing, right? So as you come out of that childhood, you lean into adolescence, that starts to become a really big pivotal piece. Understandably, it's all part of development. Nothing wrong with that. But all I'm going to invite you to do is not lose that sense of who you are and not lose that sense of power and joy in what you know you're capable of, rather than scanning everyone else and going, what am I capable of, everybody? Well, don't look outward. Your answer's here. It's not outward, it's here.
And it is, I honestly, and I don't know if this is going to help or hinder anyone's thought process, but my thought is always, you can have people telling you over and over and over again, you are enough. Keep being a child. Keep looking at your inner child. Go back to when you were a kid. What made you happy when you were a kid? What brought you joy? You can tell people that. But until we ourselves find the key to unlock it, it's not going to be found until we're supposed to find it. I know that sounds it almost sounds defeatist, and I don't mean it to be. I'm talking about my own personal experience, because I finally reached a point where I started asking, I guess you could call it prayer, but it was more like asking the universe for guidance, because what I've been doing up to this point, this was a couple of years ago, is not working. So tell me what I need to do. Giving yourself over. I don't want to say give yourself over to a higher power, because I don't want to make it sound like it is this strict religious kind of idea that I had, but try to see the fact that there is something bigger than just you.
Yeah.
And then maybe see
is huge.
It is very much so. And that's just it. If it is religion that gives it to you, by all means, I'm not taking that away. No. But if it's not, if you're not a religious person or you're not a spiritual person, that doesn't mean that you can't find that key that you need in order to be more plugged in
Yeah.
to a bigger picture,
Yeah.
a
And if you don't,
greater
like the word faith,
presence.
yes. And if you don't like the word faith, can I just throw this in there? Use the word belief. If you're
Yeah,
listening right now and you're like faith, if that feels too spiritual, too religious, too right.
right.
Listen, I work with people that have been through religious abuse, so I'm very sensitive. I know I'm
Exactly.
sensitive to it, but you can also
Right.
put in the word belief. But I love where Sue is taking you, and that it has everything to do with can there be something bigger or beyond me? Is there something else that I can rely on? Right? Like I love that concept. Keep going. That was beautiful.
Well, and I think too, springboarding off of that, believing in yourself. Because again, personal. So
Yes.
my story kind of along those lines is I have tried doing things in the past. It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm like, oh, this happened to me then and this happened to me then. The several times that I've tried to do like this major overhaul of everything, I think I was working against the grain because then, like, for example, 2016, I started doing more like resistance type things because
Sure.
my hip was bothering me. So I'm like, okay, I want to keep that from continuing to hinder me. So I'm going to do this. And then I got a bicycle. I was on furlough. It was 2020 then.
Mhm.
And at the end of 2016, by the way, I had a full on hysterectomy.
Right.
So I was down and out for months.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel like eating right. And I physically, like doctor's orders, I could not do things physical. And then 2020 hit and I was on furlough and I'm like, great, this is giving me the opportunity. I can spend all this time with my dog, which I did. And I got a bicycle and I rode all over town and I did that. And then my ovary blew up.
Right.
I
Exactly.
had to have surgery. And then my dog passed away. And then I had to go back to a job that I did not. It's not so much the job. And I don't want to rip on the job because I'm still friends with the people who I worked with. And it was just not the right fit for me.
Yes.
And so I was miserable and I didn't have my go-to with my dog. And that's when things just really started to unravel. And then this last year, I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm going to do strength training because I need to have strength training because I don't want to get to be, I'm going to be 50 this year. I don't want to get to be 60, 70 and hurt. So I'm going to do strength training. And then bam, I get hit with a celiac disease diagnosis. I'm like, the fuck? Oh, totally. I'm just trying to take care of myself. Exactly. And as a result, I scrapped everything that I had already tried and I scrapped everything that I already knew. And now I'm baby steps, like what I should have probably done maybe when I was 12, 13 years old. Now I'm just trying to clean up my diet. I started going to acupuncture.
Right.
And thank God I can afford it because I have an HSA now because of the new job that I took. Exactly. Like I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. Exactly. And I am doing more supplements and more higher end too that I know are actually going to stick because I don't know what kind of malabsorption I have going on because of the celiac.
Right.
And so it's just been building blocks, but I feel like this is the route that is working because it's not only is it the path of least resistance, it's just literally clean up your diet and move more.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Really where I've landed. Yes. But I also now have this great support team because my acupuncturist, I'm doing what's called a bioscan in a couple of weeks. There's a nutritionist at my acupuncturist office and it goes through and looks at what you have in your body that is resistant to certain types of foods. So, because I was going to do Whole30.
Yep.
And this actually surpasses that whole process. I don't have to do an elimination diet. They can actually look at what my system can tolerate. Again, it's not overly expensive, but thanks HSA because I could use that. You know what I mean? Like, because money has always been an issue for me too. Like, I can't necessarily afford to go to this specialist or this dietitian or this nutritionist. And now I can. Right. So now it's like all these things are just falling into place because honestly, truthfully, you guys, I asked for it. I was lost. I was completely at a loss. Like I'm not healthy. I'm not happy. I'm not joyous. I don't have peace in my head. What am I doing wrong? And I just had to kind of throw myself onto my back in the riptide and let it take me to where it needed to take me. And so now it's like, it's crazy how it's just clicking into place.
Isn't that great?
But I had to stop.
Yeah.
I had to stop trying to control it myself. Like you talk OCD. Hi.
Yes.
I don't have any control issues. My boyfriend's in the other room. I know he can hear me and I know he's going, the fuck you don't.
Our partners are like, okay.
Okay, babe. Okay, a little delusional. I
Exactly.
do. I very much have control issues. I can do it myself. I can do it myself. Nope. I have to take myself to a doctor's office now to help myself
Yeah. And that's
because
huge, but
doing it on my own wasn't working.
but that's just it. It's like I was limping along and listen, friends, somebody else would pick up their own workout and run. And
Right.
that's amazing. Like if
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
you, God, good for you, for real. For me, if I don't get kind of a system, it's harder. So I
Mhm.
like having a systemic, consistent, that's how I just know myself and how I'm wired. So for me, I do think that what I'm inviting you to do today that's novel and self-love is really actionable items. I'm not asking you to just like we think the emotional part. Oh, I just think I'm great and I just know that I'm a good person and I just like, oh, I hope that. I hope that for you always, of course. That's a piece of this. A layer of your experience is your thoughts, right? So
Mhm.
so you have so many layers to how you're made up, and this is how I function in my mentoring because this is how I look at us as human beings. We want to look at all of those layers. So I know that your thoughts are probably kind of jumbled up sometimes. You probably aren't always nice to yourself in your head. We all have this. Sometimes emotionally, we punish ourselves. Oh my God, you're so dumb. How could you miss that? How come you did
Oh
that?
my
How come you
God.
said that? Like so many different ways we should, right? So you're talking your thoughts, you're talking your emotions, you're talking your physical body is connected. So, like, what's happening for my body when I'm in that place, right? I did not know, no joke, until I started doing this Belle Vital. I'm like, I have fucking adrenal fatigue. I didn't
Mhm.
know. I had no. Listen, you guys, slimmed down my coffee, which I love coffee. If you know me, you're like, okay, I've added tea back in, which I love tea. So I'm balancing them better. I when I tell you between the supplements, the working out, shifting things around, I am so much clearer. I am so much more full of joy.
Mhm.
Intuition is sparking everywhere. Um, I just literally, it's the clarity is so crazy. And like, I haven't wanted to drink
That's the
almost at
other thing
all.
too. Yeah, I haven't had anything to drink in almost a month. And even then I really cut back just with the
Yes.
celiac. I
Yes.
had no choice because beer's my
Right.
jam.
Right. Yeah.
And so that cut out an entire family of,
Hmm.
plus because of it, my liver is not that great. So I need to take care of it.
Right.
Okay, this
Yep.
is where we're at. Okay,
Exactly.
I got okay.
Exactly.
Once you
Exactly.
know, Oprah said this years ago. Once you know, you can't unknow,
Yep. Exactly.
regardless of what it is. Once you know, you can't unknow.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. So, what I think is different is loving yourself before you've already gotten there. I really
Oh,
want,
that's
I
good.
just really want you to think about this. I really want you to think about love yourself before you get there, before you reach the vision, before you get to the next level of your career, before you reach your next client, before you lose the weight, before you stop waiting. And this is so weird. Stop waiting to love yourself. And I'm going to say this for anyone who has ever loved a child, whether you're a parent or not, you have
Mhm.
to, okay. We don't ever like, okay, Johnny, I will love you as long as you pick up your room and brush your teeth and look amazing at all times. Like,
Some parents are that way.
okay, okay, you're right. And also, I hope that was not your journey. But right, we wouldn't do it to someone else, and we wouldn't do it
No,
to a kid. We wouldn't say to a friend, Sue, I will love you when you blank, 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 blank.
correct. You're right.
No, I'm going to love you as you are, where you are right now. That's the real goal. We don't do this for ourselves. I think we're the same way for ourselves as we are so many things in our lives. And it's like a dangling carrot on the end of a stick. And it's like, when I'm 140 pounds, it'll be blah, 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 blah. When I'm walking on a big fancy fucking stage, then I'll be.
Yeah.
No, you were
No.
already brilliant to start. So
Correct.
I really want to invite in this wisdom of loving yourself before you do the magic, whatever you think that is. If it's weight loss, if it's a health routine, if it's some a level of work, if it's writing a book, if it's, I don't care what it is. Love yourself before you get there. I'm loving this person. This person is not in the same form that she was when she was 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. And this is the first time in my life. It's
Right.
okay for me to just be where I am.
Yep. Yeah.
And
It always has been. It's just that now you're
it
just
was always
realizing
there,
it.
right? It's like the ruby slippers.
Exactly. We
No,
always
the
come
answer
back to
was
the ruby
always there.
slippers, baby.
It's so true. And it's like
Yep.
literally like Wizard of Oz wisdom, like no shit. Like it was already with
It
you
was
the whole
already
way.
with you.
And we just get exposed to so many things that tell us to question ourselves that no wonder we do this. This is not me dissing you. If you're
Correct.
listening, you're like, oh my God, we are doing it. We're saying we do these things. You're no different. We don't expect you to have a different experience than ours. We've been told a lot about how we're supposed to look and be.
Yeah.
No wonder we feel fucked up about this.
Right.
And I'm just here to say that I do think part of this is loving yourself the whole way through the journey, starting back at that inner child if you need to. And I do think it's so much about designing that relationship with yourself to do actionable things that show you love you. I'm talking take the breaks to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
This morning, Sue and I were supposed to start at 11. I had to text her. I texted her twice. This is very abnormal for me. I'm going to say this out loud. I'm very time efficient, managing, like I get to places on time. Last night I was like, hey, do you mind if we start a little late? Why? Because this process of working out and supplements and eating well in the morning is now so important. I would put off my work day for a little bit to make sure that I honor that. That's my loving myself more today than when I was getting ready. Instead of like rushing and I'm sweating and I'm stressing out and now Sue's gonna get mad if I'm late, and I sent her a message. I am gonna be a few minutes late. I'll let you know what. And also, you know what I didn't do? I didn't apologize.
No.
Which is very novel.
Well, number one, I think, let's be real. I'll throw myself under the bus here. I'm never on time. So there's that. I mean, I'm full disclosure. I was on this morning long before you because I had to like practice some stuff. But you still beat me because my stupid thing logged out. So you still beat me even though I was ready before you. So there you go. Not that it matters. It's not a contest.
No, but it's so good. And
there was no apology.
But there was, and I was like, you know what? This is also a learned thing. I'm gonna stop apologizing for every single thing. Because I don't really think Sue cares. And am I sorry? If it inconveniences Sue, then yes, I would be sorry. But the truth is, am I sorry to take time for myself this morning and respect my agenda so that I could show up here full, ready, prepared, and like I'm not hungry. I've had enough water. I like the whole I love this. I wouldn't trade it. So 8 minutes in, hey, I'm logging in. I'm ready.
Exactly.
Perfect. There was no need to get undies in a wad about that. So this is the kind of thing that's unraveling for me with time is like, it's okay. What's 8 minutes gonna do to anybody?
There
right?
Is so much to be said about that because again, I'm going through the same thing in that not to be like, oh yay, me, pick me. But in case you're wondering if you're normal, you are, because we all go through this. But I have actually reached a point like I started waking up after a Christmas break. And going back to work, I started waking up with anxiety in the morning. I'm like, this isn't right. Oh. This isn't now. This is old. This is left over.
Yeah.
And so morning after morning after morning, I literally had to sit down with myself and I had to say out loud, and I did do this, girl, all you got to do is go to work. All you have to do is go to work. Get up, get dressed, go to work. Shit might hit the fan, but you got your people. You've got the same support system you had before you went on break. Mm-hmm. You can do nothing. Nothing is so bad that you have to crawl back into bed and stay there. And
I'm glad you weren't being mean to yourself about it.
No.
Because I feel like that's such a thing too, is like,
it is.
We think we're going to mean ourselves into
That's the old me, bullying myself to get out of bed. Totally. Get your ass out of bed or you're going to get fired, you lazy ass.
What's wrong with you? Get up.
Get going. No, there's no more of that.
No, it doesn't work. It simply
doesn't work. No.
And if it does work, I'm going to tell you this right now. Mark my words. If that does work for you, I bet that works once or twice. That is not sustainable.
No.
Hating yourself into consistent loving action, those are
Right. It
opposites.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But if you
No.
instead, can I give you another little nugget of your morning? Because I love that and I want to piggyback on it because this is the mentor in me. When I heard you say, like, I woke up and I was like, oh, work and da, da, da. I was like, oh, how can you love her? How can you love her in that morning? When
I
you're laying
make
in
her a
bed.
cup of coffee and have her
So,
journal.
but see how beautiful. So see, but this is so when you're laying there and you have a morning like this, how many
Mhm.
people, or there's an event, you're like, fuck me. I do not want to do this
Yeah.
today. Okay. Like I'm just being right, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't really want to do it. It's like a thing I socially, I feel like I should do it. Right. And
Yep.
I like for us to know that no is a thing, but also we need to show up to shit sometimes, even
We
if it's not
do.
our optimal, blah, blah, blah. But
And usually you're screwing yourself out of joy by not
exactly, exactly.
doing it.
So you can also lay in bed in the morning and it's like, ooh, oh, I don't want to get up. I wonder what I need today.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of recrimination and bitching and being rude to yourself and calling yourself names, like, gosh, just stay snuggled in for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, what do I
Sure.
need today? What is there a part of me that needs something special today? Is there a part of me, write this down, is there a part of me that needs something special today? Because you're laying there, you might be dreading work. You might be dreading, you know what? Today would be really juicy if I stopped and I got myself a Starbucks on the way in.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you know what? I'm feeling crappy, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start by sending prayers and love out to somebody that I know needs it today.
Yeah.
I do a little prayer in the morning before I ever get out of bed every single day. Before I ever
Mm-hmm.
touch my tech, I never touch my tech at all until I've done my little morning. It's Reiki, it's energy healing. So I say a little
Mm-hmm.
phrase to myself 3 times. And then if I'm still really like, okay, I'm not ready to get up, then I'll lay there, then I'll send beautiful energy out, right? I'm like, who needs loving right now? Who is struggling, who's suffering, who is going to be traveling? I can send them, beautiful healing light for safe travels, whatever. Sometimes that's the thing. I'm like, okay, now I'm not just thinking about me. I'm not just in my head, right?
Yes.
I
Yep.
can give myself a little beautiful, like, hey, maybe I want a coffee. Oh, you know what? When I get up today, I got a new water bottle and I had a new water electrolyte system thing that I was super excited to try it because it was going to be the
Yes.
first time for my workout. Like, what a little fun extra juice that I got to try out today, whatever. So it can be anything, but I really do think also honoring your feels. Like, some days we do just want to stay in bed.
Right.
Some days we're having a hard time, or those things are going to show up, friends. We'll never not have that because we're human.
Right.
So
Right.
when you have that, how can you honor and show up and love yourself instead of doing that whole mean, like, criticism and things like, no, like,
Rating.
where am I? What can I do today? And honestly, and I'm going to say this. Now, I'm going to lean into this for a second because I love this conceptually, but I just know this is not going to be everyone's thing. But here's my thing. So I've done a couple of readings and I do love mediums. I will not lie. I have a couple of really good, reputable, gifted women that I see. Okay. And the words that always come through for me, and you're going to get a total crack up out of this, is the word fun. My most recent one this last week was, if it ain't fun, it ain't working. And it is now my new motto. And what she was talking about is collaborations. She's like, if you're doing collaborations, if you're doing a workshop, whatever you're doing, if it's not fun, it's not working. And I
Mm-hmm.
went, well, she's fucking right.
Yeah.
She's fucking right. When I am all about fun. I am all about celebration. And I can
Mm-hmm.
talk the hardest, heaviest shit, ask Sue. She's known me a long time. I'm not just Pollyanna all the time, I swear. But I can be both in a very serious thing and then also having the best time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And we got in to do a values workshop this last week, and I'm with a new collaborator who I adore. Her name is Summer. She's fucking amazing. I'm going to have her on the podcast at some point because you guys will love her. But she was a little nervous before we did our event. It was Friday morning, and we pop on, and I'm all excited. I'm texting her. I'm so nerdy. Good morning. Are you ready? I'm so excited. I'm excited. And she's like, I'm so nervous. That's all she says to me. She's like so fun and cute. And I'm like, ooh, it must be kind of bad if that's all she sent me. So we get in. I'm like, girl, this is so much fun. Do you get how much fun we get to have right now? I'm like, literally, these people are paying nothing. That's free, right?
Yeah.
We just get to have fun. oh, well, what if something got fucked? Who fucking cares? Let's go have fun. Let's
Right.
talk about this shit. We are so passionate about this. This is our Venn diagram of our soul connection is values. This is so fun. And so she was just like, I could tell she was doing the like, I'm in my head. I'm gonna nod. I'm
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
I'm in. But what was so cool, and I'm not saying this is not, but this was the sweetest moment. So we do our workshop, we get in, it's brilliant, it's great, the ladies are awesome, it's fucking awesome. Fire is pouring forth because I love that shit. And like I feel like a minister. Like I ought to be a hell of fire, you know.
I was just gonna say Baptist preacher. Yep, you got
There's
this.
my inner Baptist preacher is coming out. We're having a great time. And we get done. And later that night, Summer sends me this sweet text. And she's like, thanks so much for everything. You were so great today. You grew me today.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. And I was like, I don't know that there is a nicer I was like, oh, my heart, my big feels. I was like, that is the sweetest fucking thing you could ever say to me. And I'm like, she's growing me. She is. So let me tell you, like, this is so, and just because this is a fun little story, and I swear we're coming back to self-love, but it's just cute story. She is very good at like time management agenda lists. And I'll be like, well, I thought we were maybe gonna, she's like, yeah, we already talked about that's done. And I'm like, well, I thought we maybe, yeah, she's like, yeah, we talked, that's taken care of. That task is done. Like, she literally no holds bar in the best way. Like, yeah, we've done that. We're good. Moving on. And I'm over here, like, she's actually teaching me. She's schooling me. Bitch is like keeping me tucked in. I love it. So this isn't a one-sided gifting thing. This is what I'm saying is she's growing me too. Right? Our best circumstances, like we're growing each other as much as possible. I love that kind of thing. So anyway, we just had the sweetest deal kind of, right? That ain't fun. For me, I ain't doing it anymore.
Right.
And so, and for you, it might be something different. That's why I say this kind of a weird way to put it out there because this is my jam, my motto. Like I laugh all the time. Literally, my healer, she goes, I didn't realize I did this. She goes, almost every single time you pick up the phone, you laugh before you talk. I go, nah.
Oh my God, that's so true.
I totally do. Like,
you do because every time we log on, like whether we're going to be like yesterday, we logged on and we were chatting. It wasn't like podcast related.
Yes.
Every time I can't always hear you because I don't have my audio, but I can see that you're you do that. You like set the tone that way.
It's so funny. It's like something I literally totally, it is absolutely unconscious that I do this whole thing. It's hilarious. So I'm saying that's my value. So I'm going to throw out to you all listening. Is there a thing in your value set that will root you? Mine is fun. I want my work to be fun. You know why? Because my vibe when I'm having fun is so fucking high. It like broadcasts out to, I swear to God, 18 galaxies away. Like it's such good juice and energy for me. So for some of you though, right? It might be something different. Mine's fun. Mine is my marker, is my compass point. My needle point is my work fun? Then I'm winning. Then I'm doing something right. If it's not fun, something's not working. Okay. For you, it might be like grace. I'm going to give myself grace. Not everybody else, because you probably give people grace. Trust me, this is my also a big piece of personal work I've been doing. Give grace to everybody else, not myself. Okay. Maybe that's your word. And you're like, I'm going to give a lot of grace for myself. And that's going to show up in these ways. If it ain't grace, it ain't going down. If it ain't peace, it ain't going down. If
peace is mine.
Okay, so see, this is where I say,
right? That's my pinnacle peace. Like, am I at peace right now? What is happening right now that I don't feel like I'm fully at peace? What do I need to change for that to happen?
So pick a value that really resonates for you.
Enjoy.
And whatever it is. And then live that shit out. And that has been a really big thing that's so face forward for me. If I'm doing something, is it fun? Then I'm not going to do it anymore. It better be fucking fun. So if I get the burr up my ass to do a certain workshop, I'm fucking doing it. Does it fit in my stuff? I don't know. I'm doing it anyway because I'm going to have fun teaching it. So that's all it has to come from. That's all that we need to like lock into. So I do encourage or invite you to pick a value that you're like, if it isn't this, it ain't going down. And that's a way to love yourself. It's honoring yourself to stay so tightly connected to your value system, that, trust me, when you do that, you will feel in so much deeper alignment. 1,000%. That's what we talked a lot about in our values workshop, is it is so about alignment. And so so that's a great thing. And then I said, define a self-love practice. I mean, I think a self-love practice is just about those actions we take. It's everything from keeping yourself hydrated and eating good, healthy food to, on the weekends. This last weekend, guys, did I do my intermittent fast the same way? Nope. Did I enjoy a fucking cookie, a half a cookie with dinner yesterday? You bet I did. You bet I did. Now, I don't want it as much.
Right.
I don't need as much of it. So
Right.
I'm very excited about those. Are big leaps in progress for me, right? But will I still go and enjoy a fucking slice of pizza? Hells to the yes. Everything in moderation. So I really think this is about picking some things that are sustainable that you will do to show yourself you love yourself. You got to pee, get up and go pee.
Yeah.
You need a snack, go get some food. You need rest.
It's so funny that you say that, because that's the second time you've said that. Like, if you have to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. I don't know why I will wait until I'm about to explode.
Same. What are we doing?
Why?
What is that? It's so, that's why I say it, because it sounds dumb, but almost every single woman you talk to will go, I've totally done that.
It's not going to get better.
No, I'm like, so it cracks me up. And I sort of love the women that are like, I have to go to the bathroom. Do you mind if you wait? No, you're right. Go pee.
Yeah, just go.
Because it's like, we don't do it. We're thirsty. Go get a drink. Again, some days I'll be like done with the day. And I'm like, I'm so productive. I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of getting tired. Done. Yeah. Just like that. Done for the day. Put everything away, tuck it in. It'll be there tomorrow. You need
even that, like on the daily, I was out, not last week, but the week before. I was out most of the week I was ill with the crap that's going around right now. Like, everybody's getting the crud, right? Yes. And Jeffrey got it. And then the next day I had such a productive day. And then by that night I'm like, and I'm out. Exactly. And so I was gone pretty much the whole week. I did go back on Friday because I just felt like my team needed me. Looking back on it now, I probably could have just, stayed out the entire time. But I also needed that contact too with my people.
I get it.
And that did help me. It gave me a charge. They relegated me to the back because I was, still not feeling 100%, but that's okay. I still had their energy around me. And that is, I needed that day. And there was some grace too. Like, I didn't take as many calls. I didn't have any walk-ins because I was in the back, right? Like, so I I wasn't as productive. A quieter
day, right?
But it was a quieter day, but they were just like, okay, baby's sleeping. So we're just going to let her sleep in the back and then we'll check on her, And so I had my support group. And then that weekend I was out, and then the following week I went to work. But when I got done, I came straight home and I went to bed pretty much. And this last weekend was pretty much the same because we're still both fighting it. And I'm like, I'm not going to keep pushing my body to do something that it is willing to do, but doesn't have to do now.
It's because what you're talking about is capability is different than you should do it. And I think this is a real woman thing. I mean, it's a human thing, but I also think it's I can do it. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. And
I should.
And that's where, when you're looking at the decision-making tree, that's a spot I want you to check yourself. I can do it, but should I do this for myself? Not should the work expects me, I should because my friend expects me, or because the expectations of life. Should I do it for myself? I want you to gauge, I can do it. Oh, I know I could drag myself. Could I have drugged when I was sick too? It was Sue and I around the same time, sick as dogs. Could I have made myself show up to coaching clients? Yeah, I couldn't rub two sticks together. God knows what they would have taken away from it.
Right.
But I was like, that doesn't make sense. Stay in your pajamas. Stay ready to rest when you need it. When you feel fatigued, you just get to rest. You're not on the docket. So if you feel the spirit moves, you want to do an hour or something, or you got something you can deal with, great. That was how I dealt with that. I don't want to do things because I have to do them. I want us to look at how can I love myself in this moment?
Right.
So I like these right questions. It's how can I love myself in this moment? And this winter, when I was doing a free meditation workshop for people during the holidays, because I just felt like I needed it, so I did it so that it would keep me accountable as well. I asked them, how could I have more peace in this moment? So I love these kinds of questions, like how can I love myself more in this moment? How can I find more peace in this moment? How can I find more anything in this moment? So because we're talking self-love, right? How can I love myself more in this moment? And so really thinking about what do I need, and then getting really good at asking, which is very, very hard for us. And that's a whole
Mhm.
nother dialogue we won't have today, because I get it. I like, that's like, oh, the smoke will come rolling out of our eyes. But if we can start with you, right? Because that's where everything does start, is with you. So if we can at least get you rolling on taking these like steps, right? I'm going to work with my inner child. If I've never done anything self-love and that feels like a whole nother freak out, like that's too big. Cool. Start with your inner child. How old do you think your inner child is? What does she look like? What's she wearing? And make her your pal. And there's some really cool ways that are deeper, sort of therapeutic and healing modalities that I love to use for people to kind of get in touch with this, because I think that that can be very helpful and powerful. But for now, you can start with, what is that little part of you needing? Is it a hug? Is it
Mm.
a snuggly blanket? Is it a cup of hot chocolate? Is it doing a Lego set? Is it what, right? Whatever it is. Listen,
Crocheting. I just picked
crocheting.
up crocheting
There
last
you go.
fall. I don't know
Good.
why.
Good for you. I wish I could stay. That makes me feel like I have ADHD and I don't, in fact, have it. But let me tell you something. Give me some knitting needles or get me to crochet. And you want me to know that I'm ADHD? That's for sure. But I literally am
That's
so
fair.
jealous that people make the coolest shit. I'm like, God. And I'm like, I can't. I'm like 5 minutes in. I'm like, ah. I'd rather poke myself in the eye with those things. But anyway, still, point is, whatever you love. If it's knitting, if it's reading a book, if it's so, and really listening to that and honoring and
Mhm.
remembering that your inner kid wasn't critical. Your inner kid thought they could
Right.
do anything.
Right.
And so that's really important. And then again, it's starting to design a relationship with yourself. Now I want to start picking up, what kind of practices can I include in my life that invite in extra love? It's really about me for me. Can I respect her before she gets the win? Can I love on her like I would a kid? If they were learning a new practice in school, they were learning how to write. If they
Mhm.
got one line out, you'd be like, "Oh my God, that is so awesome." Right? We would. Look at your kick-ass picture. Look at your kick-ass. That was the best basketball game. That game sucked ass, but your kid was fucking hell of fire and sweating balls and great. That's fucking,
Using the
we didn't win.
toilet.
Whatever.
Using the toilet.
Whatever.
It's
Exactly.
a big
It's a
deal.
big thing. So again, but listening to that energy, what's the energy that celebratory? Celebratory is so loving. It just
I
is.
love that.
Celebratory is so loving. And so find ways to celebrate yourself. Find little practices. I'm not saying you have to go pick a whole new workout thing. That's working for me right now because I was ready, friends. I
Correct.
wasn't ready before that. So
No,
there's
and
no,
that's just it. 6 months ago, it would not have been a success.
it would not have been the same thing 6 months ago. I had to be ready.
Yep.
So understand yourself that way too, and give yourself the grace. Like I knew it when I made the decision to do this. I'm like, now I'm on it. I just, whatever locked in, I don't know. However
Mm-hmm.
that happens, it just did. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So inviting things like that, picking a value. I'm just going to circle back to the action items. Pick a value that you want to hang your hat on. Mine is fun. If it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. That's mine. Right now, to love myself, it ain't fun. I ain't fucking doing it.
Right.
Done. Okay. And then I think it's, like Sue said, and I like this too, is giving yourself over to faith a little bit too. It's like, everything's going to be okay. There's a part of this that really what it's about is I'm going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Everything is okay. And I want you to love yourself by leaning into that if you need that. Like, because it is uncomfortable to start these practices sometimes, like no joke. And so I do think it's really important to kind of tie in. I've got this. I do believe this. So I'm going to say this. This is going to sound very religious, and I'm not leaning into religiosity right here, but I think we all have Christ consciousness in us.
Mm-hmm.
1,000% with every fiber of my being, you have Christ consciousness in you. You have a spark of Christ.
However that looks.
However that looks. If for some of you, it's you believe in goddess, you believe in nature, you believe in fairies, I don't care what you believe in. I don't care.
Mhm.
There is a spark of something, of the universe, of source, of Christ, of whatever you want to call it, within you.
Mhm.
Meaning you are innately wired for beauty. You are
Mhm.
innately made for something incredible. You are
And love.
uniquely and beautifully made. Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes relying on that wisdom, it's a deep knowing. Like, yep, I'm meant to be here. I have big things to do, and I will do that better when I love myself more.
Mhm.
Those are facts. Those are
You'll
not
be given the
conjecture.
tools. The tools will, that's the other thing too, is you will find how much more will come your way
1,000%.
from the universe or from
Yes,
whoever
exactly. Exactly.
because you've given into that. I
Agreed.
don't know how to explain it other than
Yep.
just my own personal experience just in the last couple of months even
Yep.
like I'm eating better so I have more money. What?
I or I cleaned out my house and I organized and now I have
And now I
more
have
space
peace.
and peace.
Uh-huh.
So it is
Uh-huh.
interesting, right? That this is where I say some of those values, you're going to see that coming back up again, play a really big role. But I do think that faith is a really huge one that can be very powerful and potent for us.
Yeah.
So if you need that, and then asking yourself the questions. So I want you to remember, right? How can I love myself more in this moment? Is there a part of me that needs something special right now? And I want to remind you to love yourself before you got there. Because
Yeah, that's huge.
that's different. Loving yourself
Mhm.
before you get there is a really big difference. So I want to
Mhm.
give that to you as like the bar I want you to work towards. Right? Does that make sense? Because like I want you to have like a place in your mind, like, what am I working towards? I am working towards getting to that bar. That I love her no matter what stage she's in. No matter what she's
Yep.
looking like, what kudos she's got, what she doesn't got, I don't doesn't matter. What's in her bank account, doesn't matter.
Right.
I love her anyway. She's worthy and whole all of her own accord.
And meet her where she needs you.
Exactly. And that's a huge meeting yourself
Because
where you are needed and knowing what those resources are.
as I was getting everything set up for today, because I'm back and forth with my because I'm at home obviously, and I have a setup at home here, and I do voice work and stuff, and so I'm working on getting everything all rebuilt again. And I had printed a picture of myself. I don't know when I did this or why, but I've had this picture for the longest time, and it is like it was like this goal that I had. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to look like that again. And I'm going to show you, this is 16. No, I think this is 15. This is 15-year-old me, maybe just shy of 16 in Florida with my parents. And this is this. I
Yeah.
mean, hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what, okay, this is what I look like. And so the
Right.
reason that I bring this up after what I just said is meet her where she needs you. This girl was fucking miserable.
Oh God, right. Is that so sad?
She was miserable. And you'll see I kind of cut my friend out. My friend is next to me, but
Yeah.
she cut out. She was so fit and so thin. She played basketball. She was a jock. I was not. I was physically active. I took my dog for a walk every day and I did, the gym and stuff like that. I was so miserable because I wanted to be her skinny, or I
Yep.
wanted to be the other
Oh
girls in my class who
my
got more
God.
attention to me. I wanted to be
Oh, for
them skinny.
sure. Yeah.
And so I can say all I want that I want to go back and be this person. But right now, all I want to do is go back and just sit with her and hang out with her and let her eat a bowl of popcorn
Exactly.
and
Without a care in
drink
the world.
some high
Exactly.
caffeinated, high
Yep.
caloric soda because
Yep.
she didn't get to do that. Or if she did,
Exactly.
she got criticized for it.
Exactly.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to be her. I want to go back and heal her.
That's different.
That's
That's
totally
totally
different.
different. It's totally different. And I love it. And what you said that's so beautiful for everybody listening, Sue, is that there are parts of you, likely, I'm going to say this, let me say, as that was a broad sweeping, likely, there are parts of you that got stuck
Oh God, yeah.
in your, not you, everybody listening,
Everybody.
everybody.
Uh-huh.
There are parts of you that got stuck that didn't get what they needed. And if you're willing to go back and sit with those parts, you will know yourself and love yourself in a way that you probably can't even fathom. Because you will begin to see, like, oh my God, this part of myself wanted to be seen and loved and validated and didn't want to be criticized and didn't want to be teased or didn't, they needed
Mhm.
to be seen and valued. And so, like, when you go in and you offer that to yourself, I know that sounds
Mhm.
so weird because this is that like whole psychology. Like, even when I started in psychology, people were like, oh, inner child, I was like, total eye roll. I'm not kidding. You're
Mhm.
talking to like the biggest convert in so many ways. Cause I was like,
Yeah.
what a bunch of bullshit. And now I like know how pivotal it is. It is so true that there's going to be parts of you, whether child, teen, even adult, where something happened. Maybe it was divorce or a foreclosure, a job loss. I could list a loss. It doesn't matter. And there was a part of you that like didn't get to heal properly. So
How do you think guys talk to this?
oh, of course, because I mean, holy Hannah, right? So
I
that
mean,
right. So
right?
now my value is based on my body and how I look and
Correct.
my nice tatas. So
Exactly.
cool.
Why, thank
So
you.
right, and I mean, they are good tatas. Let's just be honest. I'm not afraid to say it. Anyway,
They
so
were fantastic.
exactly. So but I think I want you to really be considering that as like it's also going to be pivotal that to love yourself, you're willing to go back and help heal those parts. The parts that
Absolutely.
really suffered and struggled and didn't
And took
know
blame.
better. Yes, it's
Took
so
blame.
different to like go in and lean in and love yourself and say you didn't know better. There wasn't
Hmm.
anything better. This was the best thing you could work with, or this was the only thing that you had, or the only choice you could make, or what if
Yeah.
you go back and nurture yourself and love yourself that way, you will make an unbreakable bond.
Hmm.
And when you make an unbreakable bond, here's what I want you to hear loud and clear about everything we're going to talk about. This is so true of all of my work. So I was thinking about this, like, what do I really do? Like, I know what I do for a living, but like, what do I really do? And I'm like, you know what I think it is? I think I help people harness their supernovas.
Oh,
It's
explain
about
more.
it's about purpose, and it's about identity, and it's about all these things. But it's also that I think I love being with people and helping you harness this incredible magic. It's like, oh, like it's got its fire its own, you're like trying to harness it. And you're, getting your arms around it. And it's this incredible, yeah, because your fucking soul, it's your soul. It's huge. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. And it like needs space and it wants to expand and it wants to go out in the world. To me, that's my jam. I love helping people harness this awareness of what they're
Hmm.
fucking carrying. You're carrying so much magic and you don't even fucking know it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
for me, it's like that's really my jam. I want you to know that you are a walking, talking ball of supernova, beautiful energy.
I love that.
And so to me, it's accessing that. And however you do that, and that is sometimes we need guidance. That's where mentorship and therapy and other right support friends are great, families. But sometimes if we can't quite lean in or trust that, if that makes sense, like, well, my parent has to say, or my partner has to tell me I'm sexy, or
Right.
then go find something that feels more legit to you. But I just want you to know you are carrying around this incredible juice. And when you know it, when you know what you're made of, when you're like, I'm a fucking cool person. I make mistakes. I'm human, right? This is not me. I'm not talking you're perfect. I'm not about perfection. I don't even like the
No.
word, if I'm being honest. I don't like the word. That's what I'm
Right.
getting at. When you see how fucking cool you are, friends, you will never not know that.
Hmm.
It's exactly what Sue said. When you know how fucking powerful you actually are, you
Hmm.
can never unknow that. Why does that matter? Because you will be braver.
Yeah.
You're clearer. You're braver. You're more willing to go fight for what you fucking want because you know what you stand for.
You're willing to
You are
fight.
in so much alignment. When you're
Yeah.
in alignment, you shine like a fucking sun,
Hmm.
bringing in everything that's actually meant for you.
Yep.
So everything we're talking about, like why, who cares, Jen? Why do we do it? Because it's going to elevate your entire life. It amplifies your entire experience. It isn't just a little cutesy quotesy Valentine's card that's like, oh, you're so badass, bitch, I love you to you. That's no, 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 no. That's great. I hope you give yourself a Valentine. But what I'm really talking about is all of this beauty. You want to connect with it. You want to know it. You want to have a relationship with it. And it's not braggy This is not arrogance.
Right.
This is
Right.
not shittiness. If I love myself so much that I rise up and I am this bright shining light, everybody else doesn't have to do it for me.
Right.
And what a relief is that for everyone around me?
Mm-hmm.
I love myself enough that you just get to be here because I want you here and you complement my journey and I
Mm-hmm.
complement yours. That is so different energetically than I need this. Or, right? Those kinds of circumstances, that's what I want you to be thinking of. When you love yourself, when you take these actions we're talking about after podcast, we're talking to elevate you and amplify you
Mm-hmm.
so that you go out and live in your purpose and create your legacy and impact. That's all. It's always going to, for me, it's always going to fall under this umbrella because, like, that's my jam. So, understanding the big picture, right? I like talking sometimes like this is the small picture. The self love is the small picture, but today the big picture is that you will amplify and go live your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You got to deliver it. You only get one life. You got to go out and dole that shit out
Right.
beautifully to everybody around you as much as you can. So those are some concepts around self-love. I think some of that's novel. If you're listening, I would love for you to share with us what's a big takeaway. What's an action item you're going to lean into? Because we gave you handfuls of options here. There's phrases you can say to yourself. There's little actionable items. There's picking a value to focus on. What thing are you going to work in? Like, I'm going to commit to this, Jen. And here's the thing. This is a tricky thing. When you say to me or Sue or both of us, I'm going to commit to this, ladies, listen, you know who you're actually talking to?
Yeah, you're talking to yourself.
You say me.
Yeah. Right.
I'll push you. I love that work. I like, come on, I'm a good cheerleader. I am, right? But at the end of the day, this is for you about you. That's different than looking outward. It's what's already here. You already have it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to harness it and lean in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. That's huge. Any final thoughts, Sue? That was my.
No, I think that's wrapped up beautifully.
Okay. Okay. Well, my friends, thank you so much for being here with us. And again, please, we love comments. We love likes and shares. We're so grateful when you'll follow us and subscribe and kind of hang out with us on a regular basis. So potent. And I will tell you that the more you listen, you're going to find all these things stack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
They stack. So what happens is as we embrace these little nuggets and wisdom, it's like getting a full buffet. So I need to think about that, right? Each and every week is little actionable steps and pieces that you can add up. And over time, I really do believe these are things, tools that will elevate how you live in your femininity and how we can revolutionize, right? We can revolutionize these things.
Mm-hmm.
We revolutionize the world when we love ourselves the more. Last one, I'm going to say it one more time. We revolutionize the world when we love ourselves more.
I love that.
We become the guides for everybody else who's trying to find their way in the dark. And I can't think of a cooler thing that we get to do for each other than to be guides and models. And so to me, when I'm talking about revolutionaries, I'm talking about women who are willing to be leaders. And I'm talking about, and leadership doesn't have to be in a CEO position, although
right, exactly.
Power to that.
Yeah.
I'm also talking, it's just who you are when you go to your job every day, that you lead from a place of love and light and this kind of wisdom. That is fucking revolutionary. Just doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're inviting you to do. Okay, so thank you so much for being here with us. We're so grateful. We can't wait for the next time, of course. But until then, we shall be back around. And thank you so much for sharing space. And we can't wait to see you next time.